Video number three. I didn't realize my B video is so long. So let's finish up the B vitamins. We got B1, B2, B3, and then we're going to talk about folate and B12. Folate and B12 are very similar vitamins in that they're important for whenever the body is making new cells or new DNA, especially folate. You need folate to divide DNA. So, when are you making a lot of new things? Pregnancy, right? So we know that you start with one egg or one fertilized egg, and then that thing is going to be 10 to 14 zeros number of cells. That's a lot. And so you need folate. Typically in the beginning of pregnancy is the most important time to have folate, when a lot of the critical parts of the body are being developed. They actually call that period of the first trimester in pregnancy the critical period. And it's also actually important for red blood cells. So some of the symptoms that we see from folate deficiency, separate from pregnancy, if it was during pregnancy, that could cause horrific birth defects. One of them you may have heard of, spina bifida, which is an incomplete closure of the spinal cord in the baby. If it's minor, it can be repaired. If not, it can be very dangerous. I'll leave it at that. We also see in people, typically women more than men, what's called macrocytic anemia. So it's a type of red blood cell anemia where the red blood cells are actually bigger than normal. Usually with iron deficiency, there's less red blood cells, they're smaller, and they're actually paler. They have less color. That's called being hypochromatomic. Hyperchromatomic and hypos. Oh, now I forget. They're smaller and paler. So we do worry about folate. We worry about it for pregnancy. We worry about it for prevention of anemia. Low folate status is considered a kind of a long-term risk factor for heart disease as well. And we know that women who consume less folate tend to be at risk for certain types of cancer. It's a very important vitamin. We added it to the food supply with the enrichment process for a reason. So yes, Cheez-Its do have folate, but the things that are really good sources of folate are like the leafy greens and the whole grains and beans. If you're not a kind of a junk food eater, and I don't cover these a lot in these videos because you can spend time going through these, but you have to eat whole foods to get folate. And I think Americans don't eat enough whole foods. That means pregnant women who are in America don't eat enough whole foods. And just saying to newly pregnant women, please eat whole foods, you're going to be okay and get enough folate, that's not good enough. You need folate probably before you even know you're pregnant, which could be 1 month after missing a menstrual cycle. So adding it to the food supply makes sense as part of the enrichment process. So here's some examples of what spina bifida is. Here's another weird thing about folate. When we add it to the food supply, crackers, bread, that form of folate is actually very available. It absorbs well into the body. So these are great sources, but oddly enough, the type we add to Cheez-Its, here I go with Cheez-Its again, is also a pretty good source of folate. And let's talk about B12. So B12 is like folate. You do need it for growing tissues. You also need it for energy production, although I can't tell you exactly what part of that energy pathway that B12 is really important for, but so be it. Now, the thing about B12 is folate is in everything. It's in animals, it's in plants. B12 is not in plant products. It's in animal products. So it's one of the vitamins that we have to get from animal. Now you say, Professor, I'm a vegan. I don't eat animal. That's okay. Lots of stuff have B12 added to it. Soy milk has B12. Most foods that are widely available for vegetarians, hemp milk, oat milk, rice milk, soy milk, all have B12 added to it. Most breakfast cereals have B12 added to it. You can buy yeast extracts like Vegemite or Marmite, or fake vegan cheese, fake vegan Parmesan cheese that you put on like pasta and stuff. Those all are fortified in B12. So that's the first thing is B12 is in animal products. And like any other vitamin you consume, to absorb B12 means you have to make a thing called, and here it is, the intrinsic factor. I love this slide. I need to use this for my nutrition classes. This is a terrific image. So B12 comes into the body either in fortified plant products or animal products. Stomach acid denatures the animal product or the fortified product. And then a factor made by the stomach called intrinsic factor binds to the B12. And what we absorb is not B12. We absorb B12 with the intrinsic factor. Now, some folks don't make the intrinsic factor properly. It's just genetics. It's a mutation. Those people will develop anemia. And if you were to provide them B12, it's not going away. It would be a pernicious anemia. In those patients, we can fix this. Why worry about the GI tract when you can inject B12? And that's exactly what 1 out of, let's say, 3 to 5,000 human beings on Earth, 1 out of those 3 to 5,000 3 to 5,000 human beings can get a bi-monthly, monthly, or even a longer duration B12 IV. You load it in through a needle injection or IV bag. So, yes, there are folks who can't absorb B12. Yes, they will develop, in theory, pernicious anemia. If you didn't correct that, the problem with B12 is it can cause paralysis in your peripheral, your hands, your feet, your limbs. And so, where folate causes anemia, and you can correct that with consuming folate, B12 can cause issues. If you have this pernicious anemia genetically, consuming B12 isn't enough. You would need to go see a physician on a periodic basis to get your injection. And that's it for the B vitamins. This is a chart, and look at all your, look, you don't see any plant products here except for fortified. There we go. Wheat bran, all bran. Again, soy milk, hemp milk, they're all fortified in B12. If you are a vegan or vegetarian, you obviously got to read the food label, look out for sources of B12, or just simply take a supplement. That's one of the easiest things to do on this.